So the new NIGHTREIGN DLC came out. Let me just say, it is brutal. Now this video is going to be my first impressions. Some of those impressions have since changed, and I'll make another video talking about it. But for now, I'm going to talk about my initial couple of hours trying to play it in this DLC. So immediately I knew that there was going to be a huge difficulty spike when I jumped into a new map, because the learning curve on a new map is going to be very high. And this new map is so much more complicated than the base game. I mean, it's a giant crater in the center. The whole map revolves around an insane level of just verticality. It is so many new point of interest and so many different ways to traverse this map that, and by different I mean different compared to the base game. The base game, you go from point A to point B. So if we were to say, oh, point A to point B is a straight line in the base game, point A to point B has sub-points like A1, A2, A3, A4, because you have to take so many vertical routes and different hurdles to get all around. And of course, that's more of like a, oh, it's only hard because we're just getting used to it, but some of the respawn points are brutal. Now, the big thing with this DLC, of course, are two new characters. The new characters, first impressions, as a solo player, I was thinking, Scholar doesn't seem all that great, his damage is really bad. Then I went and put bleed on his starting weapon. I said, this actually isn't too bad now, because he can do a lot of bleed damage. Followed by, alright, but this still isn't like a great character. But then I started putting it in the perspective. He doesn't seem great for solo, because his analyze ability takes so long. Again, first impressions, I don't actually think that anymore. At least not entirely. But I thought, hey, this guy doesn't seem all that great in solo, except I can also see the utility with like his fire pots and knocking enemies down and whatnot. But that was first impression with Scholar, was he seems more like a multiplayer guy. He seems really strong in multiplayer, and his ultimate seems really interesting. Undertaker, played her, I went, my favorite character is Wilder. This is basically Wilder 2. She has a really cool ability. Now, I didn't know how her ability worked initially. So I'm going to tell you how I saw it initially was, I didn't know how to activate her special version of the ability. I went into the training area and I saw you can activate two different versions. That other version has like an auto evade, I found out when I actually used it. I just didn't know how it activated. But her ability puts her in like this unique form where she sprints constantly, so you don't use stamina while you sprint. And it's not like the super sprint, it's like a normal sprint. But it's really cool because it doesn't count as a sprint, so you can run up really fast, run around, do your normal attacks, and not do a running attack. So it's actually really cool in that regard. It also gives you a better dodge, it seems, more like a Duchess dodge. Overall, her ability seems crazy good, especially like the buffed up version where you can auto evade, and it looked like it gave you some buffs. Again, speaking from initial perspective, didn't know how much it actually gave you. Seemed really good. Her ultimate sounded pretty interesting too. Apparently if other characters use their ult, she can also use hers. Again, I play solo like 99% of the time, so I would never actually see that, but I thought, hey, that sounds really strong, and her ultimate seemed decent, did some alright damage, and it sends her flying and staggers things. Overall, two new characters. Initially I thought they seemed pretty solid, they seemed interesting. Maybe for solo, Scholar isn't great. Undertaker I could see myself getting more used to. And I thought their stat spreads, especially Scholar's, was like incredibly interesting. I mean, look at this stat spread. He's got like C scaling and everything, but then he's got good health, good stamina, good mind, and then crazy arcane. It's just that his dodge is not very solo friendly, because he doesn't really want to aggro all that much. His dodge is kind of like Guardian's, but maybe I think a little bit better. Now, bringing it back around, getting my ass kicked using the two new characters, I started playing with Wilder again at some point, because it's just so much more consistent for me. He's got aura, alright, he's got aura and he's awesome. He's the most just well-rounded character. And at this point I'm thinking Undertaker might actually be also really good, well-rounded, especially if you like using seals, because oh my god, her faith is really good. But this new map not only has a harder layout than the base game, and I keep saying it's a new map, it's actually a shifting earth, and at this point I didn't realize you could only do it on the DLC bosses, but just so you know, you can only do it with the DLC bosses right now. Maybe they'll add it in the future with non-DLC, but only this. And it seems weird to call it a shifting earth when it's a whole different map. But the real hardest part of these new bosses isn't the bosses themselves, it's the journey to the bosses, because the night bosses are absolutely brutal. I mean, night 1, or even before the night, day 1, you're running around, level 1, you're coming across Nox warriors with ants, and they're in like big herds. You're coming across divine beast warriors, you're coming across curse blades, you're coming across inquisitors, like you're running across a bunch of normal Elden Ring DLC enemies, these Shadow of Erdtree enemies. You're fighting, I think I saw there's Bloodhound Knights in the castle. The castle gives you a health debuff. Oh my god. It like completely murders your health. You get the curse effect from like Dark Souls 1 on you. But even just the regular enemies are so much tougher. And I kept running into a whole bunch of enemies that would drop items. Like they were just normal mini bosses around the map everywhere. And then the actual night bosses. Night 1, you're getting to level 5, level 7, right in that range. You've got the 2 that I ran into. I don't know if there's more than 2, but the 2 that I kept running into were so hard. The first one, the easier of the 2, was a Divine Beast Warrior with a Curse Blade. I kept dying because I didn't know how their aggro really worked on solo. I figured it out pretty quick. It works where the Curse Blade's going to be more aggroed on you compared to the Divine Beast Warrior. I thought it was the other way around, because the way the Curse Blade's gimmick is, he kind of drops into the shadows every now and then. But no, Curse Blade's really squishy, the Warrior is really beefy. So you want to try to burst down the Curse Blade as fast as you can, and then just get into a fight with the Warrior. But that combination is really tough. They're basically 2 mini-bosses being tossed in at you. That's like Godskin Duo. Not exactly equal to the difficulty, but, you know, it's similar. It's like, whoa, these are 2 really hard enemies being thrown at you at the same time. And the second one that I have yet to get a win against, because I haven't actually fought it that much, or at least I just haven't fought it with like a high enough and good enough gear, is the DLC bosses from Dark Souls 3. I think it's the Demon of Pain and the Demon of Hatred. I forget what the second one is. And those guys are brutal. Again, you're like level 5 or up level 7 going into this fight, and they get like another phase. You kill one of them and they turn into a different phase. I even kill like one of them. I don't know if it actually gives you the second phase, but I'm pretty sure it does. But it's so brutal. That is the hardest fight. It's probably harder than the Night Lords. And then Night 2, you get some brutal fights on that as well. Again, I hadn't even gotten through the demons. So the only second boss I came across was Moog. And it's a super amped up Moog. Like, huge blood pillars that just kind of insta-kill you. I didn't really know what to do with the gimmick. I found out later, I don't know. I didn't know at that point, it just kind of insta-killed me. And then I ended up like looking on Reddit the next day, because like I played it at release and then had to go to bed and go to work, so I had to play it later. So at work on my break, I'm looking at people talking about it, and they're like, oh yeah, this Moog is crazy strong, he's so difficult. And people are like, oh, you're supposed to destroy those pillars. Oh my god. They took an already hard fight and they made it even harder. Like, Moog is actually really threatening with those pillars now. But it also means that you need like the purifying blood crystal to get past his knee heal, because guess what, they left his knee heal attacking. He gets the 3 blood losses on you. That's just brutal, because at first I was like, oh, it's a sewer Moog, and then he starts doing the countdown and I'm like, I'm fucked. This is it, I lose. And that's not to mention I came across 2 other unique events now, where they weren't in the game previously. You know how in base game you can get the Night Lords that show up as like an event during the day? So they added one for Caligo and they added one for Gladius. And the one for Caligo is basically, hey, the whole map is just like impossible to see around him until you go and you touch it. Like you go beat it. You hit it once when on the map and it disappears and you get a buff, which seems to be like a free, get out of jail free card. You get hit and die, you actually survive the hit. But then the Gladius one just seems terrible. Like, I got it on the non DLC map, so it was still the DLC like Night Lord, but it wasn't against the actual Shifting Earth event. It's 3 Gladiuses, so like individual, not the full thing, the individual dogs around the map. And every time you kill one, there's a DOT effect that affects you. So even just when it starts, you take minor DOT. You kill one, that DOT effect ramps up, and you have these fire dogs that spawn and chase you down as long as the event's going. And then you kill the second one, and the DOT ramps you up even more. You have to kill all 3 for that DOT effect to stop, or I think you could just ignore the event and it goes away. But you have to like get through the day or night or whatever for it to go away. Way overtuned. Awful. If I ever get it, I'm not engaging with it. The buff is not worth it. I got the buff, I'm running, and it's something like when you're hitting a bunch, or hitting an enemy a bunch, it gives you like stamina regen or something. So I was getting stamina back while attacking, I think. I don't really know. It wasn't worth it. It was not worth the hassle. It took like the whole day to even go do the event, and I got like no runes and ended up super underleveled. And then we get to the first Night Lord, the Balancers. Really cool. Here's the thing, I first tried it. For whatever reason, I'm really good at first trying Night Lords. I don't know why. I guess because like all the Wending Graces you can get. I went in I think with 3 Wending Graces. Either 2 or 3 Wending Graces, probably 2. And then like the auto revive is what I'm thinking of. When you play solo you get free revive and you can get 2 Wending Graces for 10k. So I went in, I had a bunch of flasks. I think I was level 15 on the attempt. I beat up the Balancers. The fight's really cool. It's got like 2 different phases. Phase 1, you have a bunch of Balancers. You can kind of stagger them, and they'll take turns trying to gang up on you. And then, boom, when you expend that health bar, you have Phase 2. Phase 2, one of the Balancers becomes super amped up and powered, and then they all kind of form a circle around you and watch you guys fight, and will randomly also add in attacks. And there's like these big map-wide AoEs. Really cool. Very cinematic. And it got really tough. The Phase 2 is pretty tough, I'm not gonna lie. And I do believe I was really close to losing it, but I did crack one out at the end. I won. Wilder is just my guy. I know how to make his ultimate and stuff work. It just worked out. But that was kind of my first impressions after getting through this Night Lord was, oh my god, this DLC is really hard. And the second Night Lord's probably going to kick my ass. If the bosses and the enemies continue to be this way, it's gonna whoop me. But you can find out more about my experience with the second Night Lord in a different video. Alright, that's it for this one. Initial impressions. Oh, goodbye. Mwah.